And we are live. That was my Bruce Buffer. And Diego singing in the back.
I never seen, don't you know what I mean? Hi, everyone.
Zero chairs turn.
Can't you tell he's always horny?
I'm always horny. Dude,
always
Usher was the
It's
best.
turning into the always vocal now.
Yeah.
What's going on, everybody?
Hey, look, so good to be here with the boys.
I feel like this has
Fight
been the
Fist
lowest
here.
energy we've had to start a podcast.
I think there was pretty good energy. We had a singing solo from Diego.
I got plans to put my hands in places. He's talking about her butt and boobies.
Butt and boobies.
Let's
Talking about butt and boobies, me and Diego got to see a breakup happen across the street before Luke got here.
We did. It was brutal.
They were sitting
Were
on
they
the steps.
crying?
Oh, yeah.
She was.
He didn't care.
Wow.
He
life
Couldn't
is
care less.
good.
Yeah.
The thing is, when you're doing the breaking up, it's great.
I don't think so. I think it's. I think it sucks.
Psychopath.
Yeah. You're like, oh,
know
hell
if
yeah, be
it's-
sad.
It's definitely better inside, though. An outdoors breakup is tough.
You're getting if you're doing the breaking up, you're kind of getting something out of your life that you want out.
Yeah, but I don't think it feels good.
No, that was. I shouldn't have just said it's great.
Hey, look,
It
I
was
learned a
hard
lot
to
about
tell,
you just
though.
now.
Because she was crying and he was fat.
Love it.
Yeah, they both got rid of something.
Yeah,
that they
she
wanted.
was crying and he was fat, so I don't know who did it.
She was cute too. I
Really?
liked her.
He wasn't fat. I mean, he was fat in the sense that... No, he was not that fat. I'm now comparing him to me. He's fat. I'm above obese.
What if she was crying 'cause she felt so bad for breaking up with him, and he was just sitting there not crying, like, God, I'm so hungry.
My favorite was she turned to the left to look away from him, so he walked around the staircase to look at her, and then she turned back.
Yeah.
And then, and me and Diego, I told Diego it would have been great to get her on the podcast post-breakup.
Was she attractive?
I think she's very cute.
Very cute, yeah.
Dude, so he's doing pretty well if he was doing the breaking up. You got to think he's a probably pretty cool guy.
I mean, he
We should
definitely
talk to him on the
maintained his
podcast.
cool.
Right?
I've never looked that well composed during a breakup.
I do. I just stare into their eyes and go,
Yeah.
this isn't working out.
Oh, I just,
Hey, it's your
you're
fault.
gonna see.
And like, it's not me, it's you.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, I don't like breakups, but it is.
It's important. It's a part of life.
Yeah, one person is always way sadder about it because they're the one getting dumped.
Yeah.
we have to stop doing podcasts in a car because I can't not look at people walking by.
I mean, look, if you have a studio in New York City, what's up?
Yeah, hit us up.
It's going to be so weird to move back to a studio and be like, where are all the women walking past?
Where's all the easy jokes?
Yeah, the easy 20 minutes of banter just because we're parked outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, where are all the unrelatable references to people that the audience can't see?
Right. We'll just start doing.
think if this podcast ever becomes like massive, we have a real chance of getting West 3rd Street in New York City changed to Fight Fish Street.
Yeah.
The street on which so many episodes have been recorded.
Oh yeah.
If people want to be part of our live crowd, you could literally sit on the stoop next to our car. There's a
We have
few
to-
staircases.
We have to figure out how to play it outside the car so they could listen at the same time.
We'll get like the police speakers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's all muffled and loud.
That's a whole new type of live podcast. What's been going on,
Yeah.
Diego?
Me? Same
I don't know why I
old.
threw it to you so
That's
aggressively.
okay.
You
I'll catch
first.
it.
You're the skinniest and you're in the best shape. I mean, you
Well,
got always...
I'm not
This
skinny.
is
I'm
true.
What type of
quite
greens
ripped.
you got going on?
Thank you so much. Just training a lot at the gym and a lot of comics. I've been training and just doing some stand-up. Did a couple shows. Everything's going well, man. Going well. I'm tired, but very excited to be here. I got to go to... I don't know if we can get this now, but oh my God, that woman just made a man flinch. Okay.
Yeah, she really went at him hard.
Yeah.
Maybe
That was insane. I got to watch Glory.
breaking up with him, just like, hey.
I think what happened, she flinched so fast that her tits couldn't even catch up to the flinch.
Hell yeah.
They lagged behind at a pace.
There was a
Very
lag
slow.
to it. Yeah, it was like an old video game online. I went to Glory 55 in Madison Square Garden at the Hulu Theater, which we've been to before. It was so much fun.
The only glory I've ever been to was in the Madison Square Garden bathroom.
Hey, up my mouth. It was fun, man. Kickboxing is fucking sick. That room is perfect. There's no bad seats in that fucking theater.
I really did
that's
enjoy it the first time we were there.
It was really great from that angle. It was really fun.
You were on the fan angle this time.
I was in the fan angle, and I kept pointing out to everyone that I would normally be sitting in the press row.
It's interesting how That venue fits like 6,000 or 7,000, 6,000 people, and it looks like the way it's set up. It looks like it fits way less because you could tell even when you're not in the stands that there's no bad seats in the stands.
Yeah.
Man, that seat 6,000. There goes tape my next special there.
Yeah. Sorry. I wanted you to fucking eat it.
Diego and I just let that one bomb.
Yeah.
That was so cruel.
I'm glad you guys both let it bomb. It would have been hurtful if only one did. At least both did.
Yeah, that's right.
Whoa.
How are you boys?
Oh, good, man. Glory was fun though.
Glory was so much fun. I've never been to a strict kickboxing event, and Glory is some of the best in the world, and the production was good, and there's a couple of good fights, and this one Thai, like my favorite fight was an American guy versus a Thai, and the Thai had like 159 wins.
Holy shit.
And like 37 losses. His name was so hard to pronounce. It was a really fun fight. It was my friend who went with me, a couple of us went. One of my friends, Brian, is a Muay Thai fighter. So like when a Thai does a good Thai technique, everyone in Thailand goes, ooh, ah, like you kind of make a big noise. And it was fun to do that in the crowd.
Oh, that's cool.
But there's some really good fights, a really good knockout.
So you get to make Asian noises?
Kind of, I guess it's Asian
That
noises.
is so cool. I love a good Asian noise.
Dude, it was fun.
Diego's like, the best part about the fight was the cultural appropriation.
I like the racism. That's usually my favorite part of an
The
event.
best part was yelling
You go to
ding
the
dong
fight.
at the fighters.
Next time we go to the kickboxing fight with Diego, we're like, hey, Diego, why are you the only one yelling ooh ah?
Why are your eyes taped?
Like all the Thai people are looking at us.
No, it's a cultural thing. They do it. Shut up.
That's cool, man. Why do you, so you like you're a long time kickboxing fan, right?
I mean, yeah, I've been a fan of all of the main martial arts basically, and since I've been training since 2009.
This is like something I've heard, like Rogan's mentioned recently, and it is something I've always thought of. What do you think is the reason kickboxing's not as popular as boxing,
'Cause
or
it's-
MMA, or
I think it's because it's Americans have this thing of like, if you remember being a kid and there's gonna be like a street fight, like the first thing kids say is like, no kicks. There's
is
something
true.
about it that feels wimpy, I think, to Americans. The idea of kicking feels like cheating. But for some reason, when you add takedowns and ground and pound, it's cool again, Tobin. I don't know. I really don't understand why kickboxing isn't bigger
Anyone
and
who
boxing
thinks
is.
kicking is wimpy definitely deserves to get kicked.
Right. No, it's a very stupid thought process. But
So painful.
do you think it's as exciting to watch live or on TV as boxing is?
I think it's
big
more
time,
exciting.
man. I used to watch Bellator kickboxing all the time.
It's so weird that it's not just bigger.
Yeah.
It's so much fun, especially when Glory was broadcasting events more often.
Mhm.
I mean, the walkout's so cool because it goes right to the ring, which is so cool. The platform just goes right there.
Mhm.
And it's just, I like the little bands they wear on their arms.
Yeah.
There's good showmanship in kickboxing.
They do a white
And some
crew.
of the knockouts are fucking brutal.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it's a weird in between thing. Like it doesn't make any sense why it's not bigger, because it's fun. Like Glory does kickboxing. They do knees in the clinch, but you can't do like Thai elbows and you can't do sweeps. You can do trips, kind of like it's a very weird in between rule set. But it's fun, man. I had a great time.
My new Twitter fan and friend of the pod now, and hopefully future guest, is a legendary Muay Thai fighter, John. What's his name?
Wayne Parr.
John Wayne Parr.
Oh,
yeah.
that's a friend of mine.
Is
he
he
did my
really?
podcast years ago when he was in New York.
He's
Fine,
been-
John.
We started following each other on Twitter, and he's so cool.
He's very cool. He loves comedy. I've sent him like sets before because he's like, oh, I would like to see. I did my podcast years ago when he was here training George St. Pierre at Henzo's, and my buddy just like hit him up. And this was like before he blew up in terms of like notoriety from regular people.
Yeah.
Like he was already a legend in Muay Thai, but he hadn't blown up from like Joe Rogan or GSP yet. So like we're like, hey, do you want to do our podcast? And he's like, sure. And we just got him a car to Williamsburg, and he's like, just did our fucking podcast. He's the coolest dude ever. He loves comedy. He's very silly. And then like 6 or 8 months ago, some Australian guy was visiting my gym, and he's like, oh, I just want to do a little pop-in class. I'm in town visiting. I'm like, sure. He gets changed. He walks back out. He's wearing John's gym shirt, Boonshu gym. And I'm like, wait, do you train with John? And he goes, yeah. I'm like, oh my God, this is so weird. We're kind of friends. He's a man, dude. He's
That's
fucking great.
wild.
Yeah, I love him.
He's another guy who has like 150 wins, right?
Yeah, he's got a ton. You should watch his documentary. It's on YouTube. It's free. It's called Blessed with Venom. It's so good.
That's a solid name.
What do you think made him so popular?
His style, he's very reckless and very aggressive. He like the Thais love like willing to eat it to give it kind of a thing, like standing in the pocket and just going for it.
Yeah.
And he's which is weird because he has a boxing style. He's not a much of a kicker in terms of Muay Thai. He's a much more of a puncher, which is against Thai stylistically. Like the Thais judge much higher for kicks than they do for punching, which is always weird. But the Thais love him. He has Thai spirit, quote unquote, and like he the culture really like accepted him early on.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Are there a lot of kickboxers that don't kick that much?
I feel like there's a lot of kickboxers that will lean towards a boxing style. There are not a lot that I can think of Muay Thai fighters that lean on a boxing style. But then again, I don't know that much about just the singular sport of Muay Thai in terms of who's doing well right now. Like I know the legends and I know the people I like, but like I couldn't name like whoever's like the 4th seed. You know, like I don't know any of that. Like
And,
I like the guys I like, but you know.
In kickboxing, you could throw elbows, right?
In kickboxing, certain rules, no. Most of the time, no.
Muay Thai, though.
Muay Thai is
elbows are
elbows.
everything.
Elbows are big.
I saw Joe Schilling just moved over to MMA.
Yeah, he's had a couple fights in Bellator.
Yeah, he was saying that he loves kickboxing. He wants to, you know, he loves it and he respects the sport, but he just can't make enough money. 'Cause
Oh,
it's
for
not
sure.
big enough. That's so wild, man.
Yeah. It's crazy to me to not be able to make enough money in Muay Thai and then like MMA is where I'm going to make money.
Yeah, that's wild because like we always talk about how
Little-
immensely overpaid or
Underpaid,
they
yeah.
are, not overpaid, underpaid. Speaking of, I mean, it's a like a week. It's a couple weeks out because we skipped last week. But do you want to talk about the Dana and Chop thing, or do you not? Wanna?
Yeah, let's talk a little. I mean, I don't really know that much about it. I just saw like a
It
tweet.
does have to do with kickboxing.
So yeah,
and-
go ahead, shoot.
And I mean,
Tell me about it.
Yeah, I don't know the full story.
Brendan Schaub was on his show. I believe it was Below the Belt.
One of
was
his
the
many shows?
Yeah, it was either that or the Big Brown Breakdown. It was one of his 2 shows, and he was talking about how people always immediately assume kickboxers are going to translate into MMA, and that a lot of times it doesn't translate the way people assume a phenomenal kickboxer is going to translate. He was referring to a fighter specifically that has just fought in the UFC and didn't do, or it just fought MMA and.
Gokhan?
I believe, yeah, Gokhan, yeah.
Yeah,
And-
Gokhan Saki.
yeah, exactly. It was Gokhan Saki, and he lost. And Schaub was talking about him, and that was the context of it. But he was saying that a lot of times guys assume kickboxers are going to translate well, and they don't. Then Israel Adesanya, the style bender, he put the clip of Brendan on his Instagram, kind of implying that the context was that Brendan was talking about him.
Oh.
And was like, oh, Brendan, with like eye roll emojis and stuff like that. Like, Jesus. And he's like laughing in the video. He's recording his own computer and he's laughing while he's watching it. And it was just like, clearly he was, clearly he was not happy that.
Right. If it's
Israel-
about, if he's thinking it's about him, yeah, I get that.
Yeah, he's thinking about it. And I mean, I'm sure he probably wouldn't enjoy Brendan saying that about kickboxers going to the UFC in general, but it really was the implication that it was about him. He's like, shh, and the caption is shh, with a shushing emoji, and it says hashtag, I think you'd be surprised.
Uh-huh.
Dana White comments on the Instagram post and said, such a fucking tool. What the fuck does this idiot know about the sport or the business? At Stylebender, for you to be listening to one word from this moron is a waste of your time.
Whoa!
Guy went 6-5 in the UFC! Exclamation! 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 The only thing he could teach you is how to get KO'd. Tune idiots like this out.
My
Jesus.
biggest problem with that was that he was like, guy went 6-5 in the UFC. So, yeah, guy had winning record in most highest professional fight league
That's a really good point.
in the world.
Yeah, that is actually a good point.
Even though it was 6-5, it's still a winning record in the UFC.
And then Brendan replied to the comment and said, whoa, look who got a break from folding Rhonda's laundry to jump on Instagram. Bravo, sir. He's right, at Stylebender. What do I know? Listen to the bald fat guy who has never been in a fight in his life do that. And then that was Brendan's comment. But then on top of that, Brendan also put a note on his Instagram that said, "This is hilarious." And then, sorry, my bad. Dana left a second comment that said something about. Then Brendan said, "You're a monster." I was referring to guys' little MMA experience. In parentheses, Saki was my main point. Coming straight to the UFC or major MMA leagues. You have a ton of experience in MMA before getting to the UFC, so Schaub's just clearing up.
That it wasn't about him.
Yeah, and then I don't know if Dana deleted the second comment, or if it's hard to find, but Dana, basically the second comment was that Brendan the only reason anybody knows Brendan is because of Rogan.
Right.
And he was like, without Rogan, this guy would be a 0 or whatever. And
fair point.
Then Brendan put up a note that said, "This is hilarious. Yes, Joe Rogan, one of my best friends, has played a significant role in my post-fight career, no doubt. You're right about that, Dana White. 2 TV shows, sold out worldwide comedy tour, 2 successful podcasts, and just booked my first major movie. Super grateful. However, if it weren't for the Fertitta brothers loaning your ass millions of dollars to invest into an idea that wasn't yours from the start, you wouldn't be shit. How's it feel to know once the real businessmen brains left, the UFC has been a shell of itself with you at the forefront. You've tried it all. CM Punk experiment, begging Brock to come back, and praying at night for a Connor text. Tough job to do without Lorenzo holding your hand, making sure you don't mess it all up. Can't feel good. You'd be a cardio kickboxing coach in Boston in your late 40s, hoping to grab a ticket to my stand-up front row if Lorenzo Fertitta didn't save your ass. Also, this is no way Eskimo brothers should talk to one another. Last warning."
The only problem I have is that I know this club Schwab does. You can't choose to sit in the front row.
Guys,
You just buy general admission tickets.
right. And first of all, it's Inuit brothers, please. That's insane. That's so dismissive and disrespectful to the Inuit community. Eskimo is an offensive term. Man, that's a lot. I think they're both right. I don't know what to say.
That's the most I've ever liked Schwab.
Yeah. Yeah, they're both right. They both got breaks. They're both annoying.
Dan always says Schwab, like Charles Schwab.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just too easy. It's too hard to say the other way.
Schwab.
Schwab.
So what? You think they're both kind of annoying?
They're both annoying. They're both right. They both got breaks. They both are lucky. Schwab didn't have a great record in the UFC, but also Dana White never been in a cage fight. So, whatever. Fuck off.
Yeah, I think Schwab is. I think they both have points, but I think Schwab is more right than Dana.
Fair. I'll give you that. Yeah, I'll say that. Fine.
I also don't think I don't know. It's just I don't know.
Isn't Dana White married?
Also, why is Dana White commenting on Instagram posts?
He loves that stuff. That's what he does.
Yeah, but
That's
it's
his whole thing.
that makes him look not like the boss of the league. To be
That's
like, hey,
been his biggest problem the whole time.
my old
a petty
employee
dork,
sucks.
Yeah. I also don't. There is also a certain amount of, I don't know, he's got a weird thing with Schwab, which I know there's a significant amount of MMA fans that aren't huge Schwab fans, but there are also a ton of them that are.
Yeah.
And I think he seems to have a weird thing with Schwab, and I don't know. The fact that he mentioned his UFC record, I just thought was kind of unnecessary.
Yeah.
Especially when it's a winning record.
Yeah, it's a winning record. You made a good point. It's not like a phenomenal
Not
record.
a great record.
But it's a winning record in the biggest promotion. It's also couldn't you just immediately be like, this guy knocked out Crow Cop?
Yeah.
And also the fact of him calling him a shitty fighter. I mean, Dana still booked him for 11 fights.
Right? Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, then if I'm so bad, then you're bad at your job.
Yeah,
How
he's
about
calling himself bad at his own job. He's like, yeah, I booked this piece of shit 11 times.
Yeah, and that's him saying he doesn't know about the sport. Then he said, or the business, which is objectively wrong.
that? Yeah, he's making a lot of money.
He's
off of it.
making millions of dollars
Shut-
being an MMA personality.
He's now making more money as an MMA personality than he was as a fighter.
We should be
Yeah.
MMA personalities.
Yeah.
We gotta get personalities first.
Yeah, dude, if we add personalities,
That's
this
what
will
we're
be-
missing.
I think we're
we're all
close.
missing
We're
personality.
MMA people right now.
Mhm.
We're guys.
MMA guy adjacent.
Yeah. I don't know. I think Dana kind of. Sometimes he has a tendency to rule like a tyrant, and I think he has a little bit of an issue with Schwab being such an influential voice.
Right. I think he
And-
hates when people do well outside of the UFC.
Yes, because Schwab has a huge audience. So many people love him, and he's a lot of times critical of the things that a lot of people that work for Dana aren't. Stuff like the Reebok deal and fighter pay and, the weight cuts and a lot of stuff like this. And he's critical of those things, and a lot of them are kind of digs at Dana, but they're also good points. And I think that Dana does not like that a guy that's criticizing him is a guy that was his former employee who's now has a massive audience while he's criticizing him and is making millions of dollars to do his podcast that sometimes includes Dana White criticisms. But I think that's kind of like some creepy, like, I don't own you anymore, so I'm angry shit.
That was the guy who broke up with the girl. Sorry to interrupt. He just walked past our car again.
Dan can't let it go.
I can't let it go.
We gotta fucking.
I love other people's business.
No, that's a good point, Luke. That's all. Dana's acting like someone who did just spend $2 million on a fucking 16-year-old birthday party. How much was it?
$1 million on his son's 16th birthday party.
God.
And then when he was leaving and they asked for a comment, he was like, that was the best party I've ever been to.
Leaving where? His house?
No, they rented out a Las Vegas club.
Oh, of course he did.
Where 16-year-olds deserve to be.
I want to watch MTV's My Sweet 16 on that fucking party.
Oh, God, that show is nuts.
Next up, you could visit the Conor McGregor cocaine booth.
Yay. That's fun.
Or John Jones. Insert any fighter.
Mm-hmm.
The good fighters really do love blow.
Yeah. Good athletes. The history of good athletes.
It's
Doc
fun.
Gooden.
I don't know.
Other athletes. Okay.
Let's talk a little UFC Hamburg.
Yeah.
Wanna do that?
Let's do it.
Okay, so
Right, UFC events should have hamburgers.
it was in Hamburg, Germany. Hello to our German fans.
I think Germany's the one place we don't have anybody listening to the
Well,
podcast.
fuck them anyway.
I looked at it last week. There's so many countries that listen to this now. It's very
I
odd.
love all of them individually.
We love you guys.
Send us
Remember in the early stages when I talked about how we had listeners in
Kenya.
and then after I said that, they stopped listening. They never listened to another episode.
Well, let's not name any names then. Whoever's listening, I appreciate it. And
What's
God
up,
bless you.
Germany?
And a kiss in the mouth with tongue. UFC Hamburg happened. I got to watch a little tiny bit of it. I was very busy. It's a weird time to have fights at 2 p.m. So
Yeah, it is. I forgot.
let's go
they were
top
on.
to
I missed
bottom.
them.
I think the top 3 fights are all we need to talk about, really. Everyone else I didn't know at all. So the legend Shogun Rua gets fucking wrecked.
Brutally knocked out.
That's again one of those things where like Rashad Evans, where I'm like, I don't want to see these people I respect so much keep getting destroyed.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
then
I
it's also
agree.
so exciting to see a guy like Anthony Smith put together a combo like that.
Right. Anthony Smith is a very weird build on that man. He has crazy shoulders. I don't
I don't
understand.
know if you guys remember, we ran into him in Atlantic City.
We did?
When we were leaving the press
Yeah, we did.
meeting, he was walking past us. I don't even know if he was on that card,
Oh, wow.
but he was there hanging out for sure.
Weird.
I
He's a very intense looking man.
Yeah, very intense.
I agree with you though. I don't want to see these guys do it for this long. It's
Yeah.
unnecessary.
Really-
it's kind of sad.
Brutal knockout. Really well-timed elbow from Anthony that clipped Shogun and turned his lights off. Didn't go down, though. But, yeah, he's a fucking brutal knockout,
Yeah,
man.
he stayed up until the right when the ref stopped in the end that Shogun fell. Because, he got hit with a lot of punches.
A lot of punches, a lot of looping hooks past his guard. I think the first thing that clipped him was like a push kick to the chin. One of those little snap kicks that Lyoto Machida and Anderson Silva do so well.
Yeah.
So it's brutal. The co-main event, our friend Corey
Well, do you
Anderson.
wanna- Well, I was gonna before we bring
Please,
up
please.
Corey,
So sorry. Go ahead.
I was
Corey
just gonna
Anderson
say.
fought? Yes.
I had no idea.
Look good.
Big glory. This also it makes me think back to DC just had his big moment, and then I believe on Ariel's show mentioned that his next fight he wanted to be at light heavyweight against Shogun. You gotta assume
yeah.
that's not gonna happen.
It
now.
shouldn't.
That really shouldn't happen. That would be terrifying.
It made no
for-
sense before. Now
No.
it makes really no sense.
I thought
Yeah.
Shogun was retired, to be honest. I haven't heard of him in a long time. I was like, oh, I guess he's just done.
It's just sad that these guys are fighting this long. Yeah, we've talked about it before on the podcast, but they need to get paid more and need better.
The most
retirement
realistic
options.
thing about the new UFC video game is that if you do the career mode, it sets the roster in stone. So like if you play for like 4 years, it's like if you play for like like 28 fights, which I'm up to, it's like Dan Lamort versus 54-year-old Fabricio Werdum. And like the tail of the tape, it says 54. I'm like, what an
Oh.
age gap here.
Yeah.
And it's like it's clearly a glitch, but it's also hysterical because it's so accurate.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know, man. It's just not. I definitely don't want to see him fight DC. That would be legitimately
No.
dangerous. And honestly, right now with Gustafsson, just kind of staying light heavyweight. Gustafsson pulled out of his fight with Ozdemir, and that's another possible opponent for DC. And now DC's kind of saying you're never going to share the ring with me. And
Yeah.
blah, blah, kind of calling him weak.
Which is annoying because there's like so few options
Yeah,
for DC.
I know, and it's just because light heavyweight is as bad as it's ever been.
Yeah, agreed.
And when it formerly was one of the best divisions in the UFC for a while, you know, when all these guys were in their heyday.
Yeah.
When
yeah.
the Shoguns and the Rashads and Chuck
Anderson,
Liddell and
yeah.
you know these guys were in their heyday, it was a great division, but it just isn't anymore. And I don't know, man. I mean, they say it's been tossed around the idea of Yoel going up and fighting him. I actually kind of don't think that's that bad of an idea.
No,
Yoel
that'd be
versus
great.
Daniel?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would watch that.
Yoel, everybody would tune in, and Yoel, it would be. Now he's never really fought at light heavyweight. He's been fighting at middleweight for a long time, but he is a huge middleweight.
Yeah, has a hard time cutting weight.
Has a hard time cutting weight. He's getting older, and he's already extremely powerful. You think maybe he could be even more powerful if he goes. It would be an interesting, at very least, it would be an interesting experiment, and I think it would be at least a competitive fight.
Yeah.
You know.
I'd be interested in seeing that. Two very high level Olympic wrestlers, very
Dangerous strikers.
Dangerous strikers with KO power. Yoel seems to do more jumping techniques where Daniel likes to kind of like stay in the pocket, you know,
Yeah.
work out of that.
Absolutely.
But very fun. I would be very interested in I'd be very much looking forward to seeing that kind of a fight. So yeah, great point. That'd be fun. That'd be cool, but we'll see what happens with Daniel and Brock or Daniel and who knows who else really at this
I'm
point.
looking at the light heavyweight rankings here, and it really is just not what you're used to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you're looking
I
at
guess Latifi's a good fight.
I mean, you're looking at Gustafsson just pulled out. Derek Lewis just won a terrible fight. Ngannou just lost again.
my eyes go to the same guy, Sam Alvey versus DC.
Oh.
Smiling Sam
Smiling.
Alvey. He's on a 2-fight win streak.
I mean, look at OSP. That's not a good enough fight. Jimmy Manuel. That's probably not a good enough opponent.
No.
I mean, if
Even the top 3 don't pose too great of a fight.
and DC's already beaten Ozdemir.
Yeah. Let's go with Jan Blachowicz. 20. Is it? I don't even know who Jan is.
And Glover just lost.
Right.
Also,
So we'll
to
friend of the pod and
definitely friend of the pod.
yeah, we've all met him. I mean,
Corey's
he's a trainer. You guys have met
He
him.
said
I
he
trained
wanted to
him.
do it, and then we haven't.
Yeah, man. What 4 weeks notice the fight was on? I can't remember. Like a short notice fight for Corey. The third ranked, I think, light heavyweight.
Yeah, I
Glover
believe
was
so.
third or fourth. Very impressive. Put on a fucking clinic of mixing striking with takedowns. Just a great pace against Glover. Unanimous decision, I believe. It was just such a good win for him. 2 big wins in a row now for Corey.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah.
And he's you like to see a local guy do well.
Yeah, let's see the local boys do well. And he's like just a good guy who just fucking puts the work in, like
Jesus, he landed 62% of his strikes in the fight.
yeah, his he posted something where it's like his UFC stats and like it's some of the stuff he's already accomplished just 4 years into being a pro is crazy. His pacing is nuts. It's really really cool to see,
Yeah, he hasn't been fighting for all that long, right?
Corey?
Yes.
4 years as a pro.
As a
Damn.
pro, and then he was a wrestler before that, but he hasn't
A
been
collegiate
in
wrestler.
MMA for that long.
Yeah, no, he hasn't been. He was on The Ultimate Fighter when Frankie was the coach of The Ultimate Fighter
Yeah,
versus BJ Penn,
2014.
and that's why he's with us still.
Yeah, he's with Almeida. you mean.
Almeida, Mark Henry,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, that's awesome. That's also cool to see those guys where it's like they're just pure. I mean, Ngannou's kind of like that. He's on a rough streak right now, but these guys who are just such pure athletes that they pick up the sport extremely quickly.
Yeah.
It's really
Yeah.
interesting to watch.
Yeah, it's
If
really
you
cool.
remember when we interviewed him for the first time in AC, he was even telling us how he was training differently than he ever had before and was learning things that he never had the chance to learn, which were very basic MMA stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He told, didn't he tell us he was taking like I can't remember what type of class it was, but yeah, he was basically just being like, yeah, I'm still learning as I go.
Yeah, he's still a white belt technically. I think he has blue belt actually. Like in jiu-jitsu, like he still has a lot to learn.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he's the future light heavyweight. You know.
Who knows? I'd like to see him avenge his losses to like OSP and
Manwa.
Manawa. Those are bad losses, and like
Both knockouts.
He could fight Shogun too.
Yeah, I don't
Good.
even. I mean, I
still
still
wanna
don't want to see Shogun fight.
He lost to Shogun.
fight.
I just don't. I
Does
think
Shogun owe you
should
money? Why do you
retire.
want to see him get beat up again?
I know.
fuck your ex-wife or something?
No, you know what it is when I see a legend of the sport like that lose. My genuine hope is they get one more fight and to go out on a win. I think everyone deserves who's had a good career to go out on a win.
Yeah, but like
Not that they deserve it, but like when you give so much time and energy to this sport, I feel like it's fitting that your last fight should be a win.
I can't remember someone ending a career on a win.
Yeah, I just
You
don't.
know,
Raya Faber.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you can't guarantee that that's gonna happen, and they should.
No, you can't guarantee it, but you could give them like a softball toss of a fight where they're supposed to win.
Yeah, I
Like
guess.
you
but-
know in high school in your homecoming game you'd play the worst team
Yeah, you
and
could
you just whoop up
I
on them.
like the idea of losing your last fight because it's like it's the changing of the guards. Because I feel like if you end your career on a win, you're always gonna be like, I wonder if I could win another one. Like I wonder if I could keep on winning.
That's true.
Yeah.
Where you ever? I mean, I'm not a wrestling fan anymore, really, but I watched the 30 for 30 on Ric Flair, and his one. I mean, he retired a couple times, but like his biggest retirement match was against Shawn Michaels. And there's a moment where Ric Flair's on his knees in the middle of the ring, and Shawn Michaels is in the corner about to do the kick he does, the super kick, and Ric Flair's like begging. He's like, "Come on, come on!" And Shawn Michaels mouths, "I love you," and he does a super kick and gets the count out. I don't know what it's called. And it's like that's a beautiful fucking changing of the guards moment in a sport. I like that it doesn't end the way people want. It ends the way it should.
You know what? You've sold me, Diego. Every fighter should lose passing the torch style.
Mm-hmm.
I'm now sold. Fuck winning
Right.
in the last fight.
Hell yeah.
Let them get their brains bashed in.
Yeah. I also think that it's just MMA is so much more unpredictable and so much more dangerous than most other sports.
Yeah.
That I think it's kind of
I think comedy should go the same way. You get the shit beat out of you in your last set ever.
you bomb. I
Someone
think
just
I
beat
You
think
get jumped out of comedy.
if we're being honest, I think most comedy careers end the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ones that end early.
People don't know the story. Don Rickles was beaten to death after a bad set in Vegas.
Don Rickles is bombing. He's like, no.
Someone
no,
come up
it's-
here and beat me with this mic stand.
He looked over to the stage and there's 4 guys with shaved heads cracking their knuckles.
I think everyone should die through a mic stand that's been turned into a shiv right through the heart. Just right on the stage, too.
Oh, man.
But yeah,
That's
shout,
a dark turn.
and it,
And the rest of the fights I really
through all
did.
that, shout out to Corey, man.
Shout out to Corey. Great job,
Fucking
Corey.
Great.
Yeah,
Good
I
job,
really
bud.
would like to get him on soon. Hopefully we could work that out.
Yeah.
Now that he just got out of a fight, he probably has a little bit of downtime.
Definitely.
Um,
We could talk about Max Holloway.
oh, what's
because-
going on with that? Yeah, that's
So,
fucking weird.
There was I don't know if it's completely confirmed yet or not. It's been mixed reports.
He's
but
pregnant.
Yeah. Oh
I
man.
love
It was reported that he had a miniature stroke during all that stuff.
Holy shit.
Whoa.
His team has denied it, so maybe he didn't. But it's if you saw those clips of Holloway, right?
Yeah, it's fucking weird.
It was bizarre.
It was like, you ever see the video of the news reporter
who has a stroke on air.
who like has that can't do the words right
Yes.
and like Haber TD.
He's 100, man. 100
My friend,
Hired
what's her name? Sally Burtnick does a perfect impression of that whole clip. She could do the whole thing,
Yeah.
and it's like insane to watch because there aren't real words. So, like she must have watched it a ton.
I feel bad for when your friend Sally inevitably has a stroke and everyone's like, she's doing the bit.
Yeah, let's do the bit, guys.
She's so good at it. Look at her. She's acting it out this
She's so
time.
funny.
That's fucking great. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's I don't know, that it was scary and Holloway's talking and he does seem really weird and Bisping even says like, well, he's interviewing him. He's like, you seem weird. You seem a little off, Max. Is everything all right with you? You know, and he's-
Bisping called him on it right away.
yeah, it's and
He had
Yes.
to. It would have been weird to
hopefully it'll be all right. Now, Ortega said he thinks that Holloway should be forced to vacate the belt
Mm-hmm.
because he's now pulled out of 2 straight fights, and Well, he's now been forced to not compete in 2 straight fights.
I'm
'cause of
surprised-
health complications.
There isn't a rule really.
That
isn't-
you should have to vacate the belt.
It doesn't seem like there's a strict rule. It just seems like whatever Dana White feels.
Exactly. It's literally just when Dana White's like, you know what? New interim title.
What?
Yeah.
Why do you think that Ortega wants him to? You don't think does he just not want to wait for when he thinks he'll have to fight Max again, or does he not want to be forced to fight Frankie again before he has to fight Max, or what? Because
I just think he wants the fucking title. I don't think it's anything like avoiding anyone or being afraid of anyone. I just think he wants the title. It's like a lot of times people are like,
you think he wants it and he doesn't care whether or not it comes through beating Max.
right? Yeah, he doesn't care. He just
That's
I want the
interesting to me
Well,
because
maybe
I
he's
would
a little
I would-
concerned with seeing what Max was like with this little mini stroke. Maybe he's like, I don't want this guy to fight again anytime soon.
yeah, maybe, but he I don't know. I would assume that he'd want to go through Max because Max has been
Is it-
so
title. So dominant. Yeah,
He's
such
the
a
real
good champion.
Yeah,
It's
I
weird
mean,
to become champion without beating the real champion.
Yeah.
I don't know, Diego. You won belts in amateur, right?
I want an belt.
Do you think it's something off? And now I know it's like we're comparing different
no, I
levels
know.
of the sport, but
Sure.
do you think there's kind of like a weight off these guys' shoulders when it's just declared, yes, you are the champion, you have the belt, or it's some type of like thing in their head that they can finally put past them? Because does it have to be something like that he wants the belt? You know,
Maybe because also that when you get the belt, you monetary gains immediately. You now you get paid more per fight.
Yep.
So maybe
Yeah.
it's that because I don't know. Me personally, if I was if someone was a champion and they vacated and then I got the belt, I wouldn't feel like the champion. I wouldn't feel the same kind of resolve or pride
Until you got that paycheck.
until I got the until I beat the real person.
yeah, that's kind of how I I've never fought, but I did look at him saying that. I was like, that's surprising because he's such a competitor, and I was like, I'm surprised he wouldn't want to be forced to go through Max. Like,
Yeah.
I'm surprised that wouldn't be part of his like competitive drive. Would
Right.
be, I need to beat this guy. I need to beat the guy who's been the guy. I don't know.
Yeah, that actually surprised me when you said that. I didn't hear Ortega say that. That's pretty wild. He really struck me as the type of dude who would want to go through the best.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm sure he's not afraid of Max at all. It's not, I'm not trying to imply that.
Yeah,
but
we're
I
not
do-
saying that. It is weird he said that. And it's also weird that Ortega said that Dan Lamort's album is bad. That's strange. That was a strange thing for him to bring up.
Well, he's not wrong. Like him, I did that album for the monetary gains.
Yeah. There it is, people.
That is 100% true. On the topic of vacating titles, have you heard the other news about Colby Covington? Dana wants to scrap him of his belt.
Why?
Already?
Why?
Because he said he wasn't ready to fight on this quick of a turnover. What's his name? They wanted to fight Woodley.
When?
I forgot, but he said he didn't have enough time to recover. For some reason, he said no to the fight. And now they want to take the belt from him already because he said no.
Really?
Which makes me think the UFC doesn't want him to be champion.
Good. Well, take it away. It's an interim belt anyway. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah, yeah.
That's got to suck to just get the belt and be like, hey, listen, I'm not feeling another fight right now.
Don't you think it's probably not a good move, though, to strip a guy of his belt, even if it's just an interim belt, and they're not that big of a deal. But don't you think it's not a good way to punish guys? Because they wanted them to fight in September, and Colby said that I don't think that's enough turnover time. I want to fight in November or December.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think
That's a bad look
it's
for
kind
for
of-
them as a company, I think.
it's kind of dangerous to
Yeah.
start
like,
punishing
no.
guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I just the only thing with the UFC is that like it's still a young organization, and MMA is a young sport as far as like it being a televised thing that people are fans of. That there's definitely going to be some type of backlash on this type of stuff, the way there was with football,
Agreed.
where guys get injured and they sue and stuff.
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
a bad look, especially now when so many people are concerned about brain issues and
CTE.
CTE. It's like, no, you're trying to rush someone to fight again. Like, isn't that something that you should be kind of avoiding and kind of actually pursuing in the opposite direction, where you let people have a lot of downtime to make sure they're healthy and you're taking care. It at least looks like you're taking care and are worried about the livelihood of and well-being of your fighters.
Yeah, it's also like I don't even like Colby, but like Colby is bringing in a significant amount of money for the company, and he is beating phenomenal fighters in impressive fashion. You know what I
Agreed.
mean?
Yeah, I don't like him as a person, but I think he's a great fighter.
Yeah, I agree. And I think he's performed on a high level and proven himself and also brought in a lot of money because of his antics and stuff.
Yeah, he's
So
brought
I
in
think-
more money to the UFC than I have.
And
It's
he's
crazy.
definitely gotten a Woodley. Have you heard some of the comments Woodley has said about him?
Yeah,
No, what did
Woodley
he say?
wants to
Give me
take
one.
his head
He
off.
says he has a sore vagina, and he also calls him Queefington, which I guess is supposed to hint that he's a vagina, but that's a pretty awesome nickname. Lord Queefington.
Yeah,
I didn't know
that's
Woodley
a
was such a
classic.
hack.
The exact quote
Fucking, I'm a
was,
dummy joke.
yeah.
Like, oh, you're a woman because that's bad. Ha ha.
I mean, the full quote was, Queefington was supposed to fight me. He called Dana and said, "Hey Dana, my vagina's sore, and I don't think I could fight Tyron Woodley. So now I got somebody who hit me up after 2 a.m. on Twitter saying sign the contract." He's referring to Till, but he called Till Too Heavy Till, saying he was too fat to fight because they wanted to do Till versus Woodley and just scrap the belt from Covington. But then Till said no to the fight as well.
Jesus.
Damn. I would have liked to see that. I
Yeah, I'll
I
watch
wouldn't
that.
be against Darren Till versus Woodley.
I like
you know?
it. I'll watch Woodley do anything. I think he's a very
Great.
fun.
And Till's a great fighter. And Till just, whether or not you think it was the right decision, just beat Wonder Boy.
Yeah.
Till's he's a great young guy. And yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to that, honestly.
No, I'd love to
So-
see Till get fucking wrecked.
Why would you want to see
Nah, I
it?
just think Woodley's a much better fighter than he is.
Yeah,
And I
he'd
feel like
probably
Woodley
get
gets no credit because people consider him a boring fighter.
Yeah,
Which
which
is
is
ridiculous.
crazy.
Woodley's way better than a lot of people give him credit for.
Mm-hmm. I think he's a great selfless lover.
I think we should chat about this free card that people should be amped about this weekend.
We could talk about it. I don't know if
Is
we can chat
insane.
about it. Who's
Yeah.
on it?
Main card: Eddie Alvarez versus Dustin Poirier,
Whoa!
Jose Aldo versus Jeremy Stevens.
Oh my goodness!
And
Insane.
Joanna versus Teshia Torres.
Jesus Christ!
This is a crazy fight.
And then you have you have Alban Mercier, who's I like him, versus Alexander Hernandez.
what?
And those are the big four fights of the card.
Let's talk about the main event first.
And Ross Pierce and Caitlin's fighting New Jersey Caitlin.
Oh, Caitlin Chukagan.
Yeah, and
I can't
Ross
say her last
Pearson. That's like a really good fucking card.
Yeah, man.
That's a fucking
And
nuts
it's
card.
free. This is in you're welcome, Alberta, Canada.
Oh.
Calgary. You're getting a nice
Is it a
card.
fight night? What is it?
Yeah, UFC on Fox.
Wow.
Let's talk about the main event first.
Yeah.
Eddie Alvarez versus Dustin Poirier 2.
I am so fucking
Very
excited
exciting for that. Those fucking
Amazing,
boys.
dude.
Oh,
God.
bang.
They're
If I
gonna
recall,
bang.
last time we talked to Eddie, he said this fight wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
He did. He told me that at
He said it to our face.
in Atlantic City.
He
He
got pissed
looked me
off.
in my eyes.
He lied to me.
You're no longer a friend of the pod.
You promised me.
Yeah, I think I'm probably, if we're making predictions, I'm probably going to take Poirier in that fight. I think Eddie's a great fighter, but I think Poirier's looked progressively better in each of his last, 3 or 4 fights. I think he seems to be on the top of his game right now and have a new fighter under him, and I think he looks more technically sound right now, and I think he was winning that fight against Eddie the last time.
Agreed.
Well, I say Eddie by spinning heel kick in the first round. Knockout. Knockout and submission. He knocks him out and then he submits him.
No way, there's spinning heel kick.
He knocks him and then puts him in a rear naked choke.
That's just
Puts in a fucking go-go plot on his ass.
that would be.
Underground King forever.
I would love to. Sometimes when you see these cards like the two brawlers like this, you're like, this could definitely end in the first round.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me to pick against Dustin because even more than DC, Dustin Poirier is definitely my favorite fighter because I remember watching the documentary of him. What was that called again? Fightville?
Fightville.
Fiville.
Yeah, that was one of them. I remember whenever that came out, I saw it right when it came out, and I absolutely loved it. And I loved his whole story and watched it. He's like my favorite fighter, so I got to go with him. I would say by decision, though, I think they're going to have a real fucking war again. 5 rounds of just pure chaos.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great fight, man. It's gonna be awesome. That division, there's a lot of brawlers in
Dude, a ton.
at lightweight right now.
Yeah, that might be the most exciting division.
Yeah, there's Poirier and Alvarez and Justin Gaethje and Al. There's like a lot of guys that like to just throw hands like maniacs. That's awesome. Yeah, that'll be a great fight. And then Jose Aldo's fighting Jeremy Stevens,
Yeah.
which is fucking crazy.
Can't wait for that. I love seeing Jose Aldo in the cage. He's so much fun. He's always been so like he had to fight. He fought Frankie a couple times, which made me not like him, because Frankie is a person I care about as a human being. But he's so much fun to watch.
He's great, man, and he. It will.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
It will be nice to see him.
Coming off 2 losses. to Max Holloway.
2 very handily,
yeah.
very clear losses to Max Holloway. It will
But
be
he-
nice to see
he
him fight
technically
again.
won both because he hasn't had a stroke yet.
That's true. That's
He is
winning in my book.
Yeah,
I think
that's a pretty good life.
That's a fun fight. What's the second one? It was a third one?
Joanna.
Joanna versus Tisha Torres
If I recall, this is Joanna's first non-main event
in a
in a
while.
long time.
Yeah, man, good for her.
I mean,
not good for her,
non-title
but-
fight too. That is so crazy.
Non-title fight, 3 rounds. I mean, if she fucking puts out or shows out, maybe it's
If
another.
she puts out.
puts out. No.
Yeah, baby.
Comes
Sorry.
hard and
I think Joanna's one of the sexiest fighters, and people disagree with me on that.
well, I just think she's a very good fighter.
Oh my god, I mean, it's a shame that she had to fight Rose because Rose might be the only female fighter I like more than Joanna.
Mm-hmm.
And then Joanna kind of lost me on a few of the things she said to Rose in both those fights.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Especially
agree.
on the topic of mental illness. I didn't think that was a side Joanna had to go because they're both good, high-class fighters. They could have easily just gotten in the ring and put on a good show.
Also, I disagreed strongly with the fact that she thought she won that last Rose fight.
Oh,
I
big
thought
time.
Rose
Yeah,
clearly
yeah.
won.
Yeah.
And she was bringing up striking statistics, but she threw so many of her strikes were leg kicks, and she was in so much more danger so many more times than Rose was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she really for a while went on a lot of shows after that, podcast, radios, and said she won that.
Yeah,
It was
Which
embarrassing.
blew my
It was kinda
mind
weird,
because-
Yeah,
it's
it kinda is.
That's sad.
That was like when you see your buddy go up and have a bad set and he comes off and says he killed. It was like, we'll let you have this, but you didn't.
yeah, it's unfortunate. That'll be an interesting fight to watch. I wonder what will happen if Joanna wins, which I think Joanna
Yeah.
will probably win. But I wonder what's going to happen. Are they immediately going to have her fight Rose again? Because she's lost twice. It's
Right.
not like it's
Has
at
Rose
1-1.
defended against non-Joanna?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, Rose
It's
has
been a
only
while.
defended once.
Yeah, it seems like it's been a little while.
I think she should fight someone else, and then although I do like I do like Torres as well.
I just think she's a great
I think that's gonna be
striker.
a really
Yeah.
good fight.
I think that would be interesting if Torres wins and then she gets the nod against Rose, and then you kind of start to see maybe some, maybe a new era of that division.
Yeah, and then even if that happens, and then you bring in Joanna again after Rose defends against someone else,
Yeah, I don't
because Joanna deserves another shot at that belt.
I am excited to see and going back to Aldo, how Aldo is going to look. And I wonder where his confidence is at, where his head's at.
Been a while.
How he's aging as a fighter right now. He's also fighting an extremely dangerous guy who, you know what I mean? I mean, I would say Aldo's more technically sound than Jeremy Stevens is, but Jeremy Stevens has the most one-punch knockout power in that division.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, and he's definitely a scary guy as far as his power is concerned. So
Yeah, and all those are probably on an emotional low, not feeling probably very confident. That fucks with you.
yeah, and that's weird to be feeling. Your confidence is probably low. You're coming off 2 tough losses to the same guy who's completely dominated that division after you tragically lost your title in that division after you dominated that division. And the guy you're going up against coming off these 2 losses is, a guy that completely puts people out in one punch or one kick knockouts.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it'll be interesting. I mean, I think Jeremy Stevens is extremely exciting to watch. I love watching him because it's kind of like watching Francis or watching Ortega from a jiu-jitsu sense where you're always kind of on the edge of your seat because at any second he can knock his opponent out.
Pop off
Yeah,
any
there's an
second.
element of suspense when you're watching
Yeah.
Jeremy Stevens, like an added element of suspense.
It's fun.
It's awesome, man. So that'll be fun to watch, man. That's an amazing card, especially for a fight night.
Yeah. That's Saturday?
Yeah, that's a Saturday.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
gonna make sure to watch those.
Cool.
Yeah, man. Anything?
Besides that,
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
it. I think
Luke is gonna be in L.A.
Luke's
for
gonna be in
UFC
LA.
227.
I will be in LA for UFC 227.
Were you going to be there anyway?
No, I'm lucky enough that my wonderful
right.
girlfriend's
We don't have
mother.
to say that.
We don't have to say it.
I'm just kidding. I don't really care.
Shout out to Elena Jackson. That's my girlfriend's mom. She's a wonderful lady, and she works at JetBlue. which means that I get to fly places for extremely cheap, or else I would probably not
that's
be able to go.
you fucking lucked out on that.
It's amazing. It's really just one of the best things in my life.
And
So-
JetBlue. Wow.
Yeah, it's nice. And usually when you're flying standby, if the flight's not too packed, they put you in the
First
even
class?
more space seats.
Jesus,
I
you're
did
not
that happened to me
flying no
once.
Spirit like I am.
No, it's nice, man. So I will be in LA on August 4th for UFC 227.
Doing
if
shoeies with all the fans, I assume.
shoeies, of course, in Middle Easy tradition. No, I will be interviewing fighters, trying to, get good footage, good footage, and some good audio for
the
podcast
fans.
for the fans and people
We
who
love
like
you.
MMA.
And I think very soon we're going to introduce a video component to
Yeah,
this.
that's part of our next move.
Or at least we might even just do a YouTube show.
yeah. If you're
Uneasy with Middle Easy.
yeah, maybe
It's an Eric Andre based, where we make fighters very uncomfortable.
if you're in
They just hit us.
if you're in
Diego
LA and
protects
you're
us.
gonna be there for 227, hit me up on Twitter, Instagram, or something. And Hannibal Burris, if you're listening, we tweeted at you. We want you on the show if you're gonna be around. So
Tell Hannibal to be on our podcast.
tell Hannibal. Yeah, if you are in LA, don't even say anything to me. Just find Hannibal and grab him and go.
If
"Do the
any of you
Middle Easy
200
Fight
people
Fist
have a direct connection with Hannibal Burris,
That-
this is for
I'm
you.
assuming at least 100 of the 200.
Liam Neeson him. Take his daughter. And he doesn't have a daughter, so it makes no sense.
Okay.
I thought we were ready to wrap this up.
Yeah,
I
man.
think
Yeah.
we ran out of topics 30 minutes ago.
Good job,
Uh,
boys. I think we did a great job.
yeah,
I
this
don't
is
know why you always have to
fun.
do that and make it seem like we did a bad job.
That's what I do with everything.
I know.
I always talk things down.
Well-
because expectations breed disappointment.
I like talking things up. This is the best podcast anyone's ever listened to.
Mm-hmm. I'm so proud of it, and I'm proud of you boys. And thank you so much for listening.
Thank you guys.
Fight Fist Pod.
Rate and review.
Rate, review
5
it.
stars.
Yeah, we haven't had one of
iTunes.
these reviews in a while. We need to get a new one on
Read some
there.
reviews. Come on,
Yeah.
you do it.
The
Yeah,
last
that's what
one
there's
just
some
talks.
review.
Come on.
The last one just talks about Luke's race.
I'm so nice.
Yeah, the last one really leaned into my Lebanese heritage. So
Yeah, let's get some Americans on there, baby.
Yeah.
Yay.
Or whatever Diego is.
Hello.
Spanish of some sort.
Some sort of Spanish. Are you some sort of Hispanic? Then write a review in Spanish. It'd be funny.
And if you're some kind of racist, say you love Dan.
All right. At Dan Lamort. At Luke Tuma. At this Diego Lopez. We love
we
you.
love you.
Goodbye.
All right.